So I got this message earlier in my head when I was working, and it was kind of like a realization, I guess, more than anything, of like family and friends, you know, meaning well with what they say to you, but really it's ultimately kind of like putting it like it's like dampening the growth or whatever you're trying to achieve, because they're trying to put their own beliefs on you, their own fears about life onto you. It's kind of like in society, or like you're programmed throughout society, or throughout your life. You're programmed throughout your life, you know, by society. And it's like this fear-based lack mentality that a lot of people have when it comes around what you're doing for a living, you know. So it's like your family, or like say like grandparents, parents, even friends, cousins, you know, they see your life and what you're doing with it, right? And you might make certain moves towards something you actually are passionate about. And then the moment you start to like show any sign of you struggling in any way, shape, or form trying to get to that point, they'll throw in a suggestion about like, oh, well, I really hope you would find something that, you know, makes you a lot of money, or I really hope, you know, you find something, I worry about you, you know, all these things. They mean well, you know, it's not saying that they're bad people. It's just they don't realize what that does to you when you're actually in the act of trying to achieve something that you have your heart set on, right? Because like in a way they're doubting you without even realizing they're doubting you, you know. So I guess it's kind of like they're allowing their fears of life to project onto you, and a lot of times those fears consume their whole life, and then what do they have to show for it? A lot of these friends, family, they haven't achieved anything in their life that they actually wanted to achieve. You know, they're in hardships, or they're in these certain like lack states, you know, they're in these different environments that never ended up working out for them because they kept repeating the cycle of doing things that were against what they actually wanted to do in their life. And you can kind of see it when you step back and look at it. I'm sure some of you have family members that are exactly like what I'm saying, where they're trying to preach to you, you know, pretty much be miserable at this job and accept it, right? So you can just have money to survive, right? And to like just gain enough for maybe a house, if that, or like for a car, or just to get by, essentially, because nowhere you work is really going to ever really put you at that point of where you're actually like financially safe, unless you're doing it on your own. You know, it's like working for somebody will never make you rich. That's that whole you know saying that goes. But it's like, what do they have to show for it to actually be giving you the advice that they're giving you? You know? It's like, yes, they're your family or they're your friends, but honestly, it's like they say, oh, well, I would do this. It's like, yeah, well, you've been doing that your whole life, but where did it get you? And you want me to repeat what you're doing with the advice you're giving me, thinking it's going to change something, thinking that's going to work out for me this time, right? You know? It's like, so why wouldn't you just do what you're called to do in that case? You know? So many times people, or I see people that come to me for whatever advice, and, you know, I give like readings and all this, like I do tarot readings, and I do like work with energy and all that stuff. A lot of the things are based around like being miserable in the position they're in their life, whether it be a relationship, whether it be financial stuff, like their career, all this stuff. And a lot of it has to do with they're not doing something that's actually calling to them. You know, they're doing things that they're chasing. They're comparing themselves to other people, you know. So it's like they're never finding that satisfaction in the external because they're not worrying about their internal, you know. And then there's always an argument of, well, not everybody can just do what they want to do, but you can. Some people are called to doing the jobs that, you know, you wouldn't think that they'd be called to doing. Like, people say, like, oh, well, people don't want to be plumbers, people don't want to be welders, people don't want to be trash people or whatever the fuck, people don't want to be this and that. Some people do genuinely want to do that. some people are genuinely like to do the things that they're doing. So it's not always bad advice you're getting. It's just using your discernment to weed out and really take a deeper look at the situation the person giving you advice is actually going through. Because if they're going through hardships their whole life, and they always went through hardships, and they're trying to give you advice on how to live your life, then why are you going to take that advice? You know? Because what are they showing you that's actually kind of it's what do they have to show for it? And that's mainly what this message is about, I guess. So it's kind of follow your own path, right? Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. A lot of people have this fear within them based around I really hope you have, they're trying to survive, essentially. That's where I'm getting at that. They're just trying to survive. And they're trying to worry about your survival when it's not really their business. Even though, you just love and light to them, you don't have to lash out at them or anything, but at the same time, don't let them crush your dreams without them even knowing they are crushing your dreams, or holding you back, or doubting you, and stuff like that. And there's always an excuse. It's just an excuse they're making for you. So it's either you can just pursue your own life and live happy and free and how you want to live, or you can listen to these people that literally have no business telling anybody anything, because their life is reflecting of what that will actually do to you, because they are either miserable emotionally, financially. It's in general, a lot of people say things I wish I'd have spent more time with my kids instead of working all them hours, looking back at their life when their kids are grown up and they've missed their whole childhood because they were worried about chasing the money, So it's that whole thing. There are a bunch of different ways of explaining it, but I feel like that's summing it up essentially. So yeah. But yeah, that's the message for the day, I guess. If you ever want to reach out for a reading, or any type of advice, hit me up on the comments. You can message me if you're seeing this on anywhere that you can message me. I don't know, but yeah, just live your own life and don't let anybody control your life. But yeah, that's it.